here that there wasn't too much contestation from other teams. I think there was that one team that decided to try and go up for it, but it just shows how well they managed to hold on to the height for themselves. A little bit of a wobble at the end. I mean, props to Jake Buka for what he did. That was great there from Fito. Look at that. And then, of course, to close out the game in style. That was really nice, actually. We didn't get to see his POV, but that was a really chaotic finish. But for those guys, really excited to see what they can do now. Of course, they held height really well, managed to find some refreshes, and won the first game. Of course, that doesn't send you straight to the summit. It's all about consistency still, but they couldn't have asked for a better start.
Yeah, absolutely, Mini Miner. We'll be seeing how our other duos did after this short break. Welcome back to the second chance qualifier. We've got 5 more games tonight, and our first one was a real barnstormer. If you missed it, go back and watch the VODs on that one and see how Dexy and Fito dominated the high ground. Let's talk about how our other duos in the lobby did tonight, though, in game number 1, because everyone knows they can't afford to have a slow start here, 11, and Skyjump and Mumsy, they got the memo.
Again, we talked about important off-spawn battles. They ended up actually fighting against the team. I don't think we really, factored in there, Mini. But it doesn't matter. It's wonky land. There's always going to be some wonky stuff going on. They made the most of it, though, right? They get out of wonky alive, and they end up playing out the game. And, again, we talked about making these games count. Mumsy goes down, right? And Skyjump, the resilience, right? To not give up on the play, not give up on the game. That's what you need in these lobbies right now.
Yeah,
like,
it's
he just
absolutely
showed
right.
up.
I mean,
I thought
we
he
saw that
changed
these
it.
guys just
Oh,
have
yeah,
so
no,
much
just follow
potential, so
him.
much skill.
I
We
just saw
talked
him.
about it at the beginning of the day. These guys just seem to have a little bit more over the rest of the lobby, so it shouldn't be a surprise that they're in these positions and find themselves in successful situations in the end game as well. And of course, a nice little solo clutch from Skyjump just to get those extra few placements as well. Ended up with a 5th with 6 eliminations, putting them 4th on the leaderboard, so not a bad start at all for them.
It'll be great to see how well they do tonight, but definitely eyes will be on them in the lobby and in the audience as well. Savage and Velo, though. Yes. Oh, my goodness. What a fantastic performance. We have to highlight Velo. 11, you sound enthusiastic about that one, because that clutch tonight plays when the odds were against him was something else.
This game for them actually played out exactly sort of how I expected as far as the dynamics, right? Because one of the key things with these two is their season ended a while ago. Watched, you know, the major finals happen. People know how to play the game as successfully as possible, right? You've been able to go back and watch. We've seen top players going back, watching what all of these top players were doing. Savage has been on holiday, right? He's in Paris. He's not been locked in. And we saw them down on Surge, and I was like, is this going to be a pattern of with them today? Because maybe Savage hasn't been able to lock in, watch the VODs. If that's the case, they're going to need Velo to solo clutch and have games like that one if they're going to have a good chance of competing it.
It's going to be difficult for them as well, though. Of course, the inexperience of Velo at this sort of level is going to be interesting to see what he can now bring for the rest of today, whether he's going to be able to keep up that pressure. But I think, you know, he's definitely got the skill, he's definitely got the talent, and it's a solo clutch right there to put them in that, what was it, top 7 for them. Really nicely done from him. I mean, no remorse, as you can see it from his name, so definitely not playing with any sort of strings attached right now. He is just running free.
Meanwhile, Akira and Karama, coached by Sky and Scroll, here of Sport at Battlewood Boulevard, got themselves some nice surge tags in there as well. One elimination to their name, Mini Miner. But the end game was a little bit choppy for them.
A little bit messy, yeah. They of course made it there, which is important considering their situation when it comes to the off spawn. Interested to see what these guys can actually do going forward. There was a little bit of a revive situation here as well, which I think kind of threw off a lot of their end game 11. But there's definitely more to come from this year. I think if there's a team that I definitely expect to be inside of that top 8 at the end of the day, it is them. A little bit of a rocky start, but not an absolute disaster.
Yeah, give them time. We'll figure it out along the way. I think, again, there's always going to be learnings as you are playing from a new spot, especially on the complete other side of the map to what they were playing in the lead up to Grand. So patience with these ones, I think, as the games go on.
We can't be patient, guys. We've only got 5 more games, but how did Lucia, they're aware of that. They were kitted out for the end game. We'll talk about that in a moment, though, because actually, if we turn our attentions back to page number 1, Batroki and Kiro, they are at that cut-off point right now, Mini Miner. The question is, can they consistently remain there?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what this duo can bring, of course, today. They had a decent enough start right here as well. And I think both of these players have had some success at different points during their careers as well. And it's nice to see them now sort of coming together, finding a little bit of success here in this game. But they've still got 5 more games to go. And they are contested off spawn at Sandy Strip as well. So it's not going to be an easy day for them again. They need to make the most of these games. But big ups to them for making it to the end game and, of course, winning off spawn.
I mentioned Howley and Lusher before, 11. I know you were keen to talk about these guys. I wanted to ask you what happened with them, because we saw the mid to low ground end game. They were kitted out. They looked ready to be in it for the long haul to the bitter end, but they didn't quite make it there.
I think the key thing with Howley and Lusher in that first game is it's been very different to what we've seen from them this season. I actually would love someone to go back and just, if you are jobless and have no time at all, can we count up who's had the most screen time in FNCS this major? I feel like we've watched Howley and Lusher play so much this season. They've literally been in every single broadcast, every single stage we've had, and we've seen a very consistent pattern with these guys. They're going to be up on high ground. There might be a couple games when one of them falls off height and, you know, they happen to still clutch it out, but they're going to be a high ground team. They started off today not with that approach, and I wonder if that remains the same, if they've changed the approach in this second last chance.
Interesting. Well, I mean, Mini Miner, you love it when these guys go high.
Yeah, I want to see them on high for no reason at all, just to, you know, just to hopefully get them to win a game. But no, it's actually nice to see them switching things up, not being afraid of that. Of course, they did have success on high, but for this sort of format, it's not last chance qualifier, it's not win and you're in, it is consistency. So I think that low ground's going to be so key. We saw it work so well for Sky and Scroll over the weekend as well. I'm sure they can try and replicate that as well.
Now, I feel bad bringing this up, but Mersash and Vanya, difficulties, I guess, in the mid-game meant that we didn't see them go the distance in this one. Levin, do you think that this is a communication issue? What do you think is going on with this particular pairing?
Again, you know, this is a new pairing, right? They've sort of come together for this, and ultimately there's been concerns from both sides about understanding whether or not their read on the meta is as good, whether their execution is going to be at the elite level you'd expect it to be. And so, again, I think we're all sort of learning about these guys as the games go on, and that wasn't a great start.
Yeah, so let's see if they can pick it up in game number 2 with Taco and Takata.
Thank you, Frankie. Look, the good news is, despite previously having 4 eliminations to fall damage back-to-back, we've got none today, so it's a good start. Now, in terms of drops, getting into the real note, Skyjet Momsy looking like they actually might be contested. We'll see if Kelba go for that again. Did not go their way in game 1. For Mersash Vanya, they didn't perform in the end game, but they were not contested despite the drop map saying that it was a possibility. Game 2 is ready to go. Let's get right into it.
What if they not even in the same team?
We already knew heading into today, Takata.
I know they told
some of those last-minute decisions, and the other thing to take into back of the players' minds is just because you started off game 1 contested or uncontested doesn't mean that that's going to remain as the theme for the rest of the lobbies. This is a great point, though, for teams to sort of try and establish themselves. If you are already inside of that top 8, you really want to try and build on those leads now, get some momentum going here in game 2. Karama and Akira under a little bit of pressure from teams overhead, but Karama landing on the hill, great shots to connect. That's going to be the first elimination here. Maybe even alleviating some of that pressure that they were kind of experiencing earlier on. But when the dust has settled, Akira and Karama holding strong currently. Battlewood Boulevard.
I think he missed a single shot. So that's what you get for shooting my teammate. Huge in terms of recuperating that net. Surge. It'll be a slower early game now for Akira Karama as they get kitted up for later. Hanging walks though. What went wrong?
Fido Dexy is what went wrong if I had to take a guess. And what's even crazier to think about too is that we haven't really seen teams have that outright success. Throughout the course of this entire Major 1, Latte Landing has been just one of those POIs that people are thinking, like, is this place even worth dropping at? Because it's so difficult to really see teams converted into something fruitful, and yet lobby number 1, Fido Dexy, they get the better end of this off spawn, and they translate it into a game 1 victory royale with a good amount of eliminations to work with too. So when you've got a team like Ping and Walks kind of on the ropes like this, it does raise a whole lot of concerns for Ping and Walks, and maybe even start to wonder, is it really worth them trying to contest, or should they just maybe try and bargain elsewhere?
Looking over to Squibbly, though, this is kind of a bit of a mix-up. Ram and Haimu were originally dropping at the opposite side of the map, east, by Builder's Barracks, so it's interesting to see them all the way over west now, like you said. Especially in a second chance qualifier, things will change. There's going to be a lot of mix-up. Glubshy Prax, they got 23rd in the finals, just 3 placements away to qualifying for the Summit LAN. The second closest duo in the lobby currently who have not qualified still made it to the finals. So the way they started it off, 26 points. I mean, cutoff currently is 54, so honestly it's not looking great, but we do have 5 matches left.
And it's not to say they could have to find their rhythm a little bit later on, especially when you've got teams like Hila and Gobao that are trying to take that more randomized approach. When you're switching up your drop spot, you have to imagine how much practice, how much time did they really get to try and cement some of the opening ideas. For a team like Prax and Glubshy that knew very early on that they wanted to take their chances over by New Sanctuary. Probably one of the most difficult parts of this POI is just that lower elevation point. So even if you manage to come out on top during that initial exchange, it's not to say that you're considered safe moving inwards, because so many teams can look at where you're positioning at.
feel like the whole map's just randomized at this point. I mean, no one's dropping what the drop map said. Like, I'm looking at the players and I'm looking at the drop map. I'm like, am I looking at like the wrong drop map? Like, what's going on here? Everybody's switching it up, but
this is close enough for home, I think, for Scozer and JSN. Or a team that definitely had some highlights during their heats, but gotta make sure that you are consistently keeping things kind of amped up here as Savage, Velo, right off the bat of that game 1 performance here, Velo is really trying to do his best, I think, to sort of overcome some of those shortcomings that had taken place beforehand. And it's not always easy to bounce back, but I think what really helps out Velo is having such an experienced veteran like Savage by his side to really help mentally guide him through that.
No, I love to see it. So far, I'm very excited after game 1 to see how the performance continues. Other names, they're similar to their situation in the lobby. We'll chuck on over. Zynox and Co looking quite good, actually. They're in a 2v1, so they do have the upper hand here, but there is a third party coming in if you look at the mini-map bottom right, so hopefully they're going to be aware enough.
This is just so south of the map. It's very feasible for a third party to intervene here. Lennox going to apply so much pressure here too. That pushback's going to force Zynox to kind of take over the brunt of the aggressive charge here. And that little bit of delay, that slight hiccup might be all the time needed for Xanthify and I to really work their way into this one. Even though Zynox was able to pick up the elimination, fact of the matter is his duo is still incredibly low. They have no idea about this approaching lurk here. Still taking their sweet time. Have to respect patience unless it winds up being a whole lot of nothing, but as long as you can get those opening shots here, Xanthify and I, right now, got time to work with. Kind of watching their prey move off in the distance. They will send out shots, but all they've really done is given away their position here. Didn't really net them any sort of surge whatsoever.
I think they got like a 30 maybe. Not what you would have wanted for a successful sneak up that they had. Now they're going to be forced to continue looking and even rotating quite significantly further in the zone. So we'll get a quick replay though of Sinet and Giras.
See, this is what you want to see if you are going for that sneaky method. You get as Sinet doing a great job to kind of punish some of these players that weren't able to fully capitalize on some of their early fights. Doesn't matter how it happens. Doesn't have to look pretty, as long as you get the job done. Manage to find yourself as one of those 18 consistency on the leaderboard. That's all that anybody's after here today, but Wonky Land continuing to have its own fair share of battles here. Skyjump and Mumsy though. Looking to try defend their territory one more time. You know they got Short and Teeny also helping to coach them through this POI. And they're not foreign to fighting by any means. This is a duo that loves going for a good scrap fight.
It worked in game 1. Looks like it might work here in game 2 as well. Max Oscar, this is the duo that was originally going to contest the Kira Kararma. They're contesting another top team and it has not went their way.
Great scenes though for the French community here. Solary can probably be celebrating right now with the watch party, witnessing Skyjump and Mumsy have this kind of opening success. But we saw, even through their finals performance, right? They just missed out. They were so close. It was only that last lobby where they had too early of a departure, weren't able to net the placement points that they needed to keep themselves confirmed inside of that top 20.
Like I swear to God, I jumped out and I built a wall.